There we go. Got it. Okay, so here we go. Let's get going here. And I should have made you co-host. Let's talk about some of the reasons that I see for students leaving college. I think that's a good way to start. Seems weird to start there, but I think if you know now the kinds of things that I'm seeing that are a problem when students go away to college, a lot of you are going to go away to college. Um, First of all, academic issues, I don't see that quite as much because we're matching students where they should be, but don't get behind when you're in college. In fact, even now you shouldn't. Subjects that were, listen to this, subjects that were a problem in high school are going to be a problem in college. So that's a good thing for you to know. Like if you're having trouble with your writing, I recommend in the summer you take a writing class, especially 11th graders, but even 12th graders. The thing you've always had trouble with, you're going to have trouble with in college. Even if it's math and you think you're not going to major in STEM, most schools require you to take a minimum amount of math, usually college algebra, before you graduate. Let's talk about athletic scholarships, loss of a scholarship. I see that a lot. It happens. These things that happen all the time in my life and in my world. I say, see above, it's in green. Build strong relationship with your coach. You should do that. Let me make sure my writing tool is okay here. Yeah, it's okay. Good. Don't be petty. Work on your game and your fitness all the time. Coaches are easy people to figure out. All they want to do is win. That's all they care about. So they're looking for their next job. So if you want to play a lot and get the favor of your coaches, they want to win. Ask them, Coach, what do I need to help us to win? That's what they do. Mental health issues. All colleges have major counseling personnel. I read an article that 70% of students in college, and I know I did, need some counseling at one time or another. It's a lot of pressure. I think I sought out a counselor a couple of times, even when I was in college. And you need to have open communication with your parents. More on that later. Other health issues. All colleges have major health personnel. Okay, and you need to again have open communication. You can practice this stuff as an 11th grader and 12th grader. Being open with your parents about your health and about things you need help with. Loneliness, lack of adequate social interactions when you get to college. I know you might want to do this, but don't do this. No single dorms. Do not room with friends or family. When you room with a friend, what's going to happen is you guys might fall into conflict. It happens a lot. Or it might be a sense of you against the world if something else goes down. Whereas if you room with someone who you just met when you went to the school, they're just matched with you by the school. Now y'all both know four people, know two people. They're friends and they know you, and you start with a little community already, even before you expand to meet other students. And then if you have somebody in school you already know, there's not the pressure of the living together relationship. Again, keep a copy of these view graphs. They're pretty important. Excessive and inappropriate activism. You're going to have college professors that want to make you into an activist, make you go out and protest and stuff. You ain't got time for all that. Academics are a priority. Watch for very persuasive professors. Don't let them get into your soul or get into your mind and get into affecting what you're going to do. Some of them, that's the agenda they have. They have some kind of agenda they want to fulfill that's political. I won't do a lot of politics today. We'll do that another time, learn about all the ideologies in college. But a lot of things college professors believe do not match with your values. Financial issues, okay? Cost is not sustainable. Now, what you can do is, I'll show you about this coming up here in a minute. You have a moral and ethical responsibility to finish college in 3 to 4 years. It's very important, okay? Now, this is a pretty important page, and I start with it. I almost think I should end with it, but I start with it. You'll see during the presentation different things that I'm going to do or recommend related to that. And along the lines of that moral and ethical responsibility to finish college, let's do a little bit on that, okay? First of all, college costs so much now that you need to help your parents. For incomes greater than 60,000, this is what they're going to be looking at. I do talk about the student direct loan here. Over here, you might see, I'm going to check that off over here. You see that. But we'll have more to say. For you CSU, you're going to pay 14,400 to 27,000. You're not. They're going to pay, depending on which CSU and how far above $60,000 for the income. But I'm going to come back to CSU in a different way a little later. That will be very interesting, I think. UC is 22,400 to 37,000, depending on which UC and how far above the 60,000 you are, okay, in income. For private, you might want to sit down with your parents and find out how much they made in 2024. That's what it's going to be based on. So you can kind of understand these view graphs better. For private HBCU, Protestant, Christian, or majority white colleges, I should say selected ones, it's 25,000 to 57,000, depending on which HBCU, which Protestant, Christian, or which majority white college, your GPA and how far above 50,000 you are. And I do cover exceptions later on in this document that are good buys. For out-of-state public universities with some important exceptions, 35,000 to 65. If you want to go to Arizona State, it's close to $60,000. Oregon State, same thing. Those are very expensive schools for sure. Okay? So depending on the college and GPA. So the point of this view graph is to make you sensitive to the costs of the schools. I'll have more to say about that and the way you can even help yourself by understanding this view graph. Okay. I think I have somehow the same chart here. That's fine. All right, let's go to big change with students and parents loans for class of 20. I want you to pay very close attention to these next few view graphs. I found a way to simply tell you the difference between what it was in the past and what it is now. Now, usually I don't cover what it was in the past with a class, but I think I need to now because your parents probably have notions of how things were in the past. But I want you to know what I'm telling them. And I just did a video on my channel, but I want you all to know. Okay? How student loans used to be. Suppose a college is 94,000. Now, I selected that for a reason because a lot of you want to go to very selective private colleges. You know, I mean, your HBCUs are 60,000, but you're thinking about a predominantly white selective college like USC. I see a lot of USC applications this year, but it could be LMU. I see a lot of those this year. Could be Chapman College. I see a lot of those this year. These are very expensive, $90,000 to $100,000 schools. And I know you think you're going to get financial aid, and you might. That's why the good Lord directed these view graphs. So that 94,000 is a good typical midpoint. Some are 100, some are 90. Family income is assumed to be, that's per year, by the way. Let's say the family income is $90,000 or a little more. The grants were for the student were 42,000, which is very generous. I mean, I think the highest merit award at USC is 35,000. It may be 40,000 this year. I didn't see this year's, but I'm going to say 42 for grants. Okay? He said, well, maybe you'll get some need-based, but if your family's making, 80, 90, 100,000 a year, you won't get any need-based grant from a very large one anyway. So 42,000 is a good estimate. You now will owe 52,000. Remember, 42 from 94. Take a minute and look at it. You now owe 52,000. This is the way they used to be, okay? Under the old way, prior to your class, the parents of 26 and 27, I suppose, the parents usually would take out a federal loan called a parent loan for $46,500, and the student would take out a federal loan for $5,500. So the parents would bear the burden or pay most of the debt. Certainly a difficult situation, but one where the parent is taking on nearly all responsibility. And that made my students pretty much immune to problems with debt. Really, you said, well, they had a direct student loan, but those usually aren't a problem if you just get a job and make your payments. We're going to talk about both of those. But when you have additional loans that you have to pay, it's different. So again, that's how they used to be. Uh, that's how it was. Okay. But now, here's how it was before in graphic form. Okay. You had a student loan for $5,500. You have a parent loan for $46,500, and you had a merit scholarship for $42,000. You can see before in the blue purple, or the darker blue purple in the middle, parents bore most of the responsibility of additional costs for college. Okay, they weren't too happy about it, but usually they would do it for their students. They're older in life, they're further along, and they didn't see it was a problem. And a lot of them did regret it, but they did it because they love you. They want you to have it. But now there's a change. Oh, by the way, the maximum student loans for 4 years is $22,000, right? It could be 27, but 22 is about right. The maximum parent loan is going to be 182,000 after 4 years. So after 4 years, they owe as much as almost a small house. 182,000. If they pay it off in 10 years, they'll pay off 240,000 because of interest. Because that's what happened in the past. Okay. Now let's take the same example. You owe 52,000. The new way, beginning with class of 26, the parents would take out the federal loan for 20,000 maximum. Listen closely. There's a maximum loan for parents of $20,000. And the student will take out a federal loan for $5,500 and an additional private loan that's not federal for $26,500. Certainly a difficult situation, but one where the student is taking on all the responsibility. You might say, well, okay, but now you're taking it on at a younger age, and you've got to think of things like return on investment. Is this degree worth the debt I'm taking? Will I be able to make enough money to pay my debt? That's where I want to focus the next few view graphs. Will I make enough money with this degree at that school? Now, that means that you could change schools and keep the same degree to a lower cost school. I'm going to see if I can't give examples of that later. All right, here how it is now. Here it is. You have alternate student loan for $26,500. That's the private loan. You have the student loan, which is federal, for $5,500. You have a parent loan for it can't be any more than $20,000. That's the maximum by law. So now you can see the student is bearing most of the cost, doing the heavy lifting, $26,500. So I really think, students, this is really your choice. You need to think about that when you're analyzing the financial aid awards, because you're going to do loans. Somebody's going to pay a loan. Somebody's going to take out a loan. And in the past, it's been the parent. All right, let me do a quick check-in here. Let me do that right here now. Something new I'm going to do here, Quinn. Let's check in for a minute with Nico. Does that make sense? Do you understand it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you might have a loan, a pretty large private loan, whereas before you didn't have it. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, even my 11th grade students, do you have a good understanding of that? I mean, Shane's my man. Shane, are you seeing this? Did you
Yeah,
understand
I'm
the
saying
view
that. Yeah.
graphs? You understood those view graphs, great. Because I really want to make sure my seniors do, my juniors too. Okay, put any questions you have in the chat, and Quinn will let me know about it. Okay? All right, let's get back to this thing. Okay, let's go on. So there's the maximum loans, $135,000 after 4 years that the student will owe. And the parent maximum is $65,000. So they only do 20,000 for 3 years and 5,000 the last year. That's the maximum by law the parents can take out. Okay, I want to be sure you know that. Remember, in this example, there was a $42,000 merit award. Yours might be lower. Some of you have seen your initial awards. They could be 13 or 14,000. Now the school may not be 94, but you get the point. The return to private additional or alternate loans for students, it's returned because it used to be a long time ago that way, is huge. It's a huge game changer. It should make you as a student think about value. But take the case of a communications degree, which is a very good degree. Why take that from a school that's $94,000 a year? Why take a social worker degree from LMU, where you'll be paying for that? You'll see the numbers in a minute. It's no different than the degree you get from Cal State LA. It's 6 times more is all in cost, maybe 7. So think about your major versus where you're taking it. It's necessarily makes students learn, listen to this, how loans work and to learn about return on investment. What are you going to get for the money you're sinking in when you're picking a college? Let's go on. Here's an example of gap college cost number 1. Here's USC, but it could be any such of 30, any ring of those 30 selected private colleges. What colleges I'm talking about? I'm talking about in this area, USC, talk about Chapman, talk about most of the, if not all of the Claremont colleges, LMU, I probably said that once already. Then going across the country, NYU and, all these selected ones are Emory in Atlanta, University of Chicago, Vanderbilt, Rice. These are all the most expensive private colleges in the country. Okay, so all USC could be a stand-in for all those. The tuition and fees are $77,000 to go to that school, just the tuition and fees alone. To put it in perspective, the tuition and fees at CSU are 6,000 to 7,000, sometimes as high as $8,000. So it's a way big difference in cost. If you're worried about UC is going to run about 16,000 to 18,000 tuition and fees per year. Okay. All right. Room and board is going to be $20,000. So to live on the campus is $20,000 at USC. So it's about 97,000. They haven't announced their increase for this year yet. I'm betting it'll be 100, but they haven't announced it. So those are last year's numbers. I put 26, 27. The numbers aren't out yet. Federal student loan will be $5,500. You have merit scholarships that say $35 in this example. Maximum parent loan of $20, and your alternate loan is going to be $36,500 per year at USC. Okay. Let's take UC now. $21,000 tuition and fees. That's the highest one. There's some as low as 18 and 17. But if you don't talk about UCLA and UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, the ones you really want, Berkeley, they're going to run about 20,000 tuition fees and 20,000 in room and board. So it's about 41,000. Direct student loan, grants and scholarships. Say you get 5,000 at blue and yellow, blue and gold award. Maximum parent loan is 20. Remember we talked about that. And the alternate loan is only 10,500 with UC, way lower than the other one. See, this is kind of giving you a hint as how return on investment works. So if you go to UC and get a certain major, it's way lower than that private college. Okay? Now, all this is out the window. If you have super high grades and all your APs and all that, you could defeat the numbers a little more, but you're still going to have debt. Here's an example of CSU and Boise State. Tuition and fees are $8,900 at both schools. $8,900. Think about that. Room and board is $19,000. This is typical for CSU. It could be lower for most campuses, but this is these are fairly accurate numbers. So we're building $27,900 in costs. $5,500 for student loan, grants and scholarships 5, parent loan 20. And look at that, there's no gap cost. So see, listen to this. CSUs, you will not have a private alternative loan. You won't. The parent loan is adequate to cover it. Your parents are probably willing, I guess. And you won't have any gap cost. I sure hope you're seeing these examples, which is why a lot of you, I forced you to apply to some CSUs. I didn't know it would be like this, but it's like this with loans. There's no gap cost. Therefore, on return on investment, you're only paying for your direct student loan, which is about what, $250 a month. Now it looks like you might be able to get yourself a little apartment if you're making $40,000 or $50,000. I'll cover that in a minute. Howard University is a typical HBCU. Tuition fees $37,000. Room and board $20,000. Total cost $57,500. Howard's another one of those schools that's very popular on our program. Usually put 6 or 7 students a year there. Merit scholarships say you get $15,000 from Howard. That's not too unusual. Your maximum parent loan will be $20,000, which leaves you a gap of $12,500. Well, it's not as bad as the other schools, but it's still a gap. $12,500 times 4, that's $50,000 in additional loan to your federal student loan, which will be $22,000. You'll have $72,000 in loans, but at least it's not that 180-some thousand I think I saw before. Okay, so the return on investment for this school is better than most privates, but not the best when you look at CSU and UC, right? And even there's black schools that are better return on investment. More on that later. So here's a little budget sheet. I guess I better get my little pen out so I can tell you what I'm talking about. How's that? So I'm talking about this budget over here right now. That's a budget. Rent. I have a shared budget. And I have an actual budget, right? Okay. Okay. Let's say you have a roommate, it's $1,500. With the roommate, it's $29.50 to living expenses. Without the roommate, it's $36.50. Your student loan payment is $260. If you pick USC, you have an additional alternate loan payment of per month of nearly $1,600. If you add that in with the roommate and without, you're going to need a salary your first year of $73,000. Now, unless you've got engineering, as you'll see in a minute, unless you're an engineering major, look over to the right, they're in the black, right? But every other major, it's in the red. Look, communications degree, you're short $19,000 trying to live. That's why a lot of students end up staying at home after they graduate college. This is going to be one of those meetings where you're going to hear a lot of truths you don't hear. I want to be as open and honest and real with you as I can be. But that's what happens. You can't make enough money in LA. You make $60,000, that's a good salary, but you're behind. So clearly what you're going to have to do is, I don't know what you do on a private loan. Maybe they'll have some kind of way to reduce the payments. They might, but then that stretches it out. And it raises the amount of interest you're going to pay. There are loads of TikTok. I should have loaded some TikToks of that today. Perhaps what I'll do is put them online. I've reacted to several TikToks where students are talking about their student loans. It's tough. All right, I hope this slide helps. Notice if you're getting a biology degree from USC, look how much in the hole you're in. That's why biology degrees aren't regarded very highly. I see that a lot of times. I'll see a science degree like biology or astronomy, and I realize what kind of job you're going to get with a biology degree or an astronomy degree. Unless you're going to teach. But look over to the right. You're going to be in a tight situation when you come out of college. Remember before, the old way, the parents picked that cost up. So now I have to talk to you all about return on investment. What are you getting in return for what you put in? Well, engineering degree, I had a student the other day, he had to wait 7 months, right? But he's an engineering student, got a great job, and he's making $92,000 a year. So he was saying he can probably move out. I'm not surprised. As a little girl, he needs to take care of. God bless him. Okay, so really it matters which degree. I don't know. I think I might be beating this to death, so I'll go on. Oh, here's CSU. Oh, yeah, okay. Here's CSU or Boise State. Look in the pink box, everybody, over here to the right. Right there. There is no alternate loan payment. Then look over here to the right. Unless you get a biology degree or some kind of blank studies degree like black studies or whatever, you're not going to make any money. Those are degrees that just don't do anything. But look at the communications degree. Look at that. Or like those other related degrees to communication, media, and these kind of things. Look down here, business administration. Look, all because they took a CSU instead. But there's a lot of pressure on you from relatives to take expensive schools. But I ask you, look at this chart. Who's going to pay for this? What's going to happen after 4 years when you come out? Notice I've included the direct student loan payment here. You can handle that, perhaps. But there are things you need to do while you're in school, get that job. We'll concentrate on that when we get to our next college preparation and our, what do we call it, Quinn? I don't even know. What do we call this series? I don't even remember now. Whatever we senior series, or I don't even know what we call it. Maybe
Yeah.
these classes before they go away to college. Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
have. Okay.
Senior series?
Yeah, we haven't really named them, have we? But we'll do ones where I have youth only. We'll do some more youth only sessions. We'll get into jobs and career. Here's UC, not too bad, 466. But look over to the right. You got to really work hard to make it a good return on investment. Because UC costs twice as much as CSU. That's what you're seeing there. Okay. I always cover the amount you need to live on with roommate and without roommate. Okay. So you can get an idea of what's going on. I did all the calculations without a roommate, but if you get a roommate, it can be a little easier. You might make it. Okay. Here's a private HBCU. Well, you got a little bit of room here maybe to be okay, but still, if you get certain degrees from HBCU, you're going to be in debt. Economics majors, biology majors, black studies majors. These sound nice, but just a straight sociology major. But you're not going to be able to cover your loans and cover your life. You probably live at home, which is not good for your freedom. You need to have your freedom. But some of you may be okay. Some parents may be okay with that. But we need to start thinking about now the decisions we make in 11th and 12th grade affect the return on investment. All right, here's the loan tables for plus and alternative loans for this year. So if you have when you leave school $200,000, $140,000 in loans you owe, it's going to be $1,700 a month. You see it? It's going to run for 10 years. Now, it depends on how you negotiate with your private company that gives you the loan. You could lower your payments, but it's going to be 20 years. That's a long time to be saddled with that kind of debt. Here's the 65 your parents, they're going to pay $789 a month for you to go to college if they take the 20,000 for 3 years. I mean, 65 is really the amount. So that's what I should have said, right? That's the maximum parent one. And right now we're at 8% interest. It might go down. A lot of people think it will in about a month or two, that the plus loan interest rate will go down. I mean, the regular interest rate was cut, but I think the plus loan has to be 5% above it. Okay. All right. So it's a loan table here. You might want to take a look at that. All right. Here we go. Here's an important recommendation I'm going to make to you right now. This is the page you should take a picture of or remember for the highest return on investment. Now, this may not agree with your parents. Your parents may have dreams of sending you to really expensive schools because they're thinking somehow there'll be a miracle or they don't know what you just saw today. This is where you just make sure in your list, 11th graders, that you have schools that are going to fit this here. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. High return on investment will allow college grads to leave home and not stay with family. That's what high return on investment will do. STEM degrees have the greatest ROI, but are very rigorous. Name schools usually have lower return on investment because you're paying for the name. You're paying to say you went to the school. STEM degrees have the greatest ROI, return on investment, but are very rigorous, and then name schools usually have lower. Private colleges have very low return on investment, especially with liberal arts majors. Sociology, social work, biology, history, I just covered that. Blank studies. Some communication degrees fall into that too. If you get a communication degree, you don't have media and the possibility of doing websites, and you know how to do video or something to go with it. That's a communication degree that isn't quite as valuable. Got to be able to do something with it. Here are the highest return on investment colleges. This is very important. Traditionally, black colleges have a high return on investment, not the private black colleges, okay? Not like Howard, Morehouse, Spelman, Hampton, North Carolina A&T too, I guess. These are not traditionally black colleges, although A&T is. I'm talking about Norfolk State. I'm talking about Virginia State. I'm talking about Morgan State, Cheney State, Jackson State. You get that state there? So traditionally, black colleges are like typically half the cost of private black colleges. So you often have a great return on investment. Consider they also give scholarships easier. They have very excellent. There's some state schools that don't. Like I don't. Well, I include Southern University here too. Like Florida A&M is going to be more expensive. North Carolina A&T is going to be more expensive no matter what you do. But typically, black state colleges are called traditionally black colleges are going to be great return on investment. So that's a way to get a black school without paying a lot of money. Okay, let's see. There's one private black colleges that is a good return on investment. If you have 3.5 or above, that's Tuskegee. Tuskegee gives a lot of good scholarship awards. Howard's not too bad, but it's still not the greatest return on investment. CSUs and UCs and public universities in your home state, if you're seeing this video, are going to be the highest return on investment. Some Western public universities are great, like Boise State, really good return on investment, excellent. All the schools you don't want to go to in the West are great return on investment. Nevada, Reno, New Mexico, Eastern Oregon State, these are all great, great returns on investment, similar to the cost of a CSU. And some Protestant Christian colleges are great buys, super great. Grand Canyon University, to some extent, Biola, depending on your GPA, right? And there's others too as well. Those are your highest return on investment colleges. But usually these are colleges that are not on your list. But there's not too late. We got 13 CSUs that are still open. Boise State is always open this time of year. Those black schools from state colleges, I'm sure they're open. They're not closed. You got a lot of possibilities to add schools late to your list. Other ways you can help with college cost. Pick a viable and useful major. I already covered this. With a life-sustaining career path and strategically work toward it. Okay? Here's an example of some interesting but potentially non-useful majors. Told you I hit this hard. Oops. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Blank studies, anything with studies after it. Africana studies, Black studies, American studies, Latin American, gender studies, women's studies. They're interesting, but maybe they're a minor, right? They're not going to make any money. Anybody I see that's making money in this major is working in something totally different when they get out of college. Totally different. And they found a way to be successful in it. Like I have a student right now that within 3 years became a zone manager of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, making $80,000 and had one of these majors. But the first few years was a struggle, 2 years. You know, it's just not an immediately useful major. History majors. I love history too, but it's not good for a major. Social justice. any kind of social justice major, geography, art without applied art. So if you're going to do art, applied art is the one you want. One makes you take digital art on the computer and that kind of stuff. But usually it's just an art degree. That's why I don't like those for-profit art schools, right? Hold on just a minute. My net's a little unstable. Stand by. Okay, Quinn, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Took a minute. There's a little gap there. Most functional majors, BA degrees, communications, sociology, psychology, business. These are the most functional majors, kinetic, that can earn you some money or get you some knowledge that helps you get into places. Digital art and animation, that's a big difference from just art, right? Uh, you know, if you applied for math and with a credential, biology, if you get a teaching credential, right? Applied math is a good one. If you have a teaching credential, biology, math, chemistry, liberals, that's where you get your teaching credential with those. The most functional majors are BS degrees, right? You know the drill. Engineering, computer science, physics, applied math, digital art, animation, pre-med and health science, maybe. Psychology, forensic sciences, chemistry, nursing. If you start now, I'm going to do a separate things for nursing majors. There's a lot of consideration there that needs to be made. Other ways you can help with your college costs. Plan to finish college in 4 years. Okay, I didn't get these changed properly. Sorry about that. But what it's trying to show you is that for non-engineering degrees, if you go to school, this should say 26, 27. I'll correct this on my copy. I thought I corrected it. I guess not. So it should be 26, 27 at the top, 27, 28 in the second one, 28, 29, 29, 30. So you're going to graduate in June of 2030. But the point here is to take classes in the summer. 24 of your 136 credits are going to be in the summer. Now, 136 is way more. Usually only need 122 to graduate with a non-engineering degree, okay? But look at that, 14 and 14, that's not a terribly heavy load to take as long as you take classes in the summer. Start thinking about graduating in 3 or 4 years. Here's one here that does it in 3 years, I believe. Yep, nothing in fall or spring of the last. These years are right here, right? 26, 27, 27, 28. Again, the summer. Look how the summer is being used. And then they get down here, they don't have to take any credits. 120, 122, 123 is usually what you graduate with a non-engineering degree, and you go light speed, okay? Over here on a 4-year degree with engineering, that's about right. 150 to 160 credits are needed or for the degree, right? There it is right here. Again, you go in the summer. Notice the course loads are a little higher with engineering. It's a hard major, but you can get through it if you build study groups and work hard. You can do it. Okay, so graduating early is a way to really save money for your parents. Now, at this point, we transition to the last third of the meeting, which is succeeding in life. Now, I'm going to be very direct. I'm going to be extremely transparent and real as I cover these things. I'm going to see who's all here. Good. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Succeeding in life. Because that's what it's all about. Not just going to college and not. We're just trying to use college to succeed in life. So why are you going to college? Get that one straight. Number one, to freely exchange ideas with and learn from others of all backgrounds, even those with whom you disagree, or dislike. I mean, your roommate might be a person who voted for the president and you hate the president. Don't hate the person. What's that thing you say? Don't hate the player, hate the game. I get that call a lot. They can't stand their roommates. And they say because, they're in favor of ICE or something. Try to stay out of that stuff. That's why you're in college, to learn to get along with people who you disagree with. Maybe that's where we lost it in this country. We didn't really solve that problem in college. To get gainful employment and free from your family in order to have your own family, your own stuff. The goal is to get free. I know a lot of your parents don't think you will be, or they'd rather you stay home or whatever, but I'm telling you, Deacon Wilson want you to be free. I want you free and out on your own to learn about and develop your gifts and talents and then sell them. That's called capitalism. And capitalism is not evil, despite what people will tell you. Anything can be made evil, though. Like money is not evil, but the love of money is very evil. But you want to develop some gifts and talents, and then you're going to go out and sell them. It's called a job, a career. That's what's happening on a career. Some of you will learn how to create wealth for yourself and others. So then again, you can leave your house and take care of yourself. That's why you're going to college. Okay? Some people say, I'm going to college to get a degree. No, the degree is not the goal. Success in life. That's the goal. All right, how about 7 ways to better honor and respect your parents? Now, I didn't say like them. You should like them. You should love them. But I need to first get in this respect thing. I'm seeing way too much. That was particularly in the lower grades, I have to say, not 11th or 12th, of people disrespecting their parents right in front of me or right on the phone. I'm hearing how they talk to their parents. Now, parents are not perfect. You know, when you were not born with instructions on your back, so they don't know everything. And as a parent, I made a lot of mistakes. Not a lot. I made a few. But let's talk about how you can respect them and honor them. Because the Bible's commandment is to honor your parents, which means respect them. It didn't say to like them. I think you should like your parents. But we're not here to talk about that. Honor and respecting your parents by obeying your parents, first of all, Ephesians 6:2, by having gratitude for how hard they actually work. I know they tell you that, but they work very hard, a lot of them. By taking more and more responsibility for your own success. Amen. By speaking well of your parents. It always puts me in an awkward position of protesting, in a sense, when a student is downing their parents around in my hearing. 7 better ways to honor and respect your parents. Number 5, by not being angry if they cannot afford the college you want. Some of you might find that out. They can't afford it. It's not their fault. Living your life by the values you learned at home. Talk about putting a smile on your parents' face. Now it's going to be harder and harder to do that in college. I will cover that in future sessions with seniors about the kind of values you see on the college campus versus your values at home. By being patient with your parents and not demanding perfection, excuse me. Don't demand perfection. Well, again, parenting is a hard job. I mean, my kids will say I was relatively good, I think, but I wasn't always perfect. Yeah, and that's something that I didn't put this in this presentation, but that's a good lesson about life to remember everybody has flaws. If you want to say sins, fine. Everyone is flawed, including adults. You're flawed. I'm flawed. We all have flaws. All have sinned. Everybody is messed up in some way. I would say messed up, but messed up. You know what I mean. Everybody makes mistakes. But let's not demand perfection. Okay, let's go on. Hey, let me let you into your parents' state of mind. I don't know, there may be a parent hearing this. I don't know. Many do want you to go away for college. But they don't. But they do. But they don't. It probably varies every day. That's normal. That's normal thing for a parent to be thinking. They care about you. Many are scared about how college will change you. The way things are going on college campuses now, I'm a little more nervous than I've been in the past. And I'm not having to parent anybody in college right now, except the students that I see going now, you guys. Many are scared that you will not get a job and a career after college. I'm very concerned about that. This is why I'm having these presentations. We're going to cover career and major and jobs and stuff in our future sessions. And I hope you can make it. Many think scholarships will solve the problem. These are parents. and want you to start looking or look more often, use Google. You should be looking for scholarships. We have a scholarship page on our website, but you should be looking too. You should Google scholarships 2026 every night. The list is always changing. Scholarships, that parents like that, even though it covers a small part of the education. Sometimes they're only 1 year, but at least it makes them more comfortable in their minds. We're talking about the parent's state of mind here. Many are wondering if you're ready to go away to college. The truth is, right now you may not be, but 2 to 3 months, 5 months, 6 months is a long time. I see a lot of changes in students over the course of the second semester. Many are scared and terrified that they cannot pay for your college. Parents' state of mind. I sure hope that helps you to think about that. Due to the above, whoa, look at this. Parents may give you conflicting directions. That's their state of mind. I don't want to make it seem like they're so confused they can't do nothing, but it's a lot of conflict going on. They want to do right by you. They're concerned. They want to make sure you have everything you need to succeed. Okay? Anybody have any questions, use the chat. Or if you have a comment, same thing. Some areas for you to work on in your relationship with your parents. Truthful, open, and transparent communication about unreasonable requests they may make of you. You don't have to take it personal and get mad. Just try to sit down and have a nice conversation about their unreasonable requests. Negotiate with your parents. Don't just demand. It raises the stress level in the house. Negotiate with your parents. Doesn't mean like go to one parent, get your way, and the other one gets mad at the other. Don't create conflict in your house. You can always call me for help, smiles. Are you really looking for scholarships? Some areas to work on your relationship with your parents. Remember, when they're nagging you, please try to don't look at how they're talking to you. Right? They'll go, oh, they're not respectful to me. There's this big thing in our community about if people don't respect you, you can do whatever you want to them. But these are your parents. Don't look at how they're talking to you. Just extract the information about what is bothering them. And let them know you hear them, and that'll tone things down right away. These are some areas for you to work on in your relationship with your parents. 8 ways to be happy. You want to be happy? I do too. Did you know that happiness is your decision? Every day when you wake up, like you take a shower, put on your deodorant, you put on happiness. Happiness is in the Bible. When you see it, it says be happy. You have to make a decision that you're going to be happy. So here's a little help. The difference between satisfaction and pleasure and happiness. Make sure you understand that happiness is not just having pleasure or satisfying what you want. That's not happiness. Learn the difference. Learn to have gratitude. Gratitude is a big part of happiness. If you're happy with your life as it is, happy with what you have, happy with what you're getting, then you're not so consumed with things you got to get that's making you unhappy. Learn to have gratitude. Listen to this, strive for great experiences, not stuff. When you're on your deathbed at the end of your life, I know I'm getting closer and closer, I'm not going to sit up there and say, boy, I wish I had bought that Cadillac or bought this thing for myself or that thing. But I will remember the experiences with my children, my wife, with you students. I say, wow, I wish I could have had more experiences. Strive for great experiences. You'll be more happy. Don't desire the lives of others. Learn from them. Boy, if I could only have somebody's money in life, that'd be great. Don't worry about these celebrities and these social media influencers and all that. Have one good friend that you can talk to. If you don't yet, keep looking. Have one good friend you can talk to. I know I got 1.5. How's that? Honor and respect your parents. Woo! You'll be happier if you can honor and respect it. It says in the Bible, you'll have a very happy and long life if you learn to honor and respect your parents. Learn to serve others more. Wow. That'll make you happier. And 8, Continuously develop your relationship with God. If you're religious and you're in the church, continuously work on that, okay? And you'll be happy. All right, let's talk about sexuality, relationships, and gender. Sexuality, relationships, and gender. Here we go. Not so much on gender this time. I think I'll do that next time. 7 reasons to abstain from sex before marriage. Thought I'd make a defense of a pure marriage. And then for those that may have already fallen and who have seen this video, that's okay. You can correct it from here. God is a God of forgiveness. And that's the way life is anyway. If you admit you're wrong and turn the other way, things get better. 7 reasons to abstain from sex before marriage. The odds are that if you are having a sexual interactions or have one soon, the person will not be your spouse. It's not going to be a life partner, and here you are. It's going to be some real talk here. Pregnancy, I see this all the time, can unacceptably alter your future. Now, pregnancy in a person who's 30 years old in their career and not married is different than pregnancy in a 16, 15, or 17-year-old. I've had students go to college, God bless them. I had a student who went to CSU Bakersfield, and she got pregnant. And she said, when I went to visit her and found out she was pregnant, she said, don't worry, Deacon Wilson, I'm going to finish college. And she never finished because she got really bad morning sickness. And of course, the guy didn't take care of the baby. And she just never got back to it. She told me about 2 weeks ago, she saw me somewhere, told me it's the biggest regret of her life, although she loves her child. They can alter your future. Okay. I'll talk about guys in a minute, don't worry. STDs, including genital warts, herpes, etc., can ruin your future relationships and life. So it goes on and on afterwards. Listen to this. Premarital sex creates women who are inalterably bonded to a young man who is not ready for commitment or responsibility of a family. That's it in a nutshell. Because women get bonded in the sexual act of any kind of sexual act. You can read in 1 Corinthians 6 talks about this, but that's what happens. There's a bonding created. And these are young men who are just not ready to commit. And some of them have had multiple sexual experiences. 5, it creates cynicism in young ladies when a man comes along later and these men who have dogged them out. They might turn down good men. I've seen that happen. I just saw a good case of that last year. You're kind of like stymied on what a good man is, right? Teaches and reinforces in young men, watch this, young men, that love begins with sex and commitment is not necessary. 7 reasons to abstain from sex before marriage. You might notice that none of these reasons had a scripture. They're all reasoned and rational reasons and wise reasons why you want to abstain. I don't have to go to scriptures and all that. You do that too much in the church. Having sex with someone while you're in high school, college, can place young men and women in difficult situations that cost them their educational time. Boy, I've seen that. I've seen young ladies fall in love with a guy and get all off into sex and find out the guy has other women. They get so depressed they come home. I've seen guys who can't seem to keep it in their pants. Sorry to say it that way. I'm being blunt. And of course, that causes them to leave school. They got people mad at them and stuff. You just need to hold off until you're married. More on that later. Why did God create sexuality? That's a good question. Why is he making people who are not married, allow them to feel sexual urges? There's a reason for it. Let's see. It prepares you physically for a mate one day. You begin to think about having a mate. There's nothing wrong with that, with feeling that. That's a natural part of life. Provides emotional, listen to this. It provides I learned this one just about 15 years ago. Provides emotional security for children within a marriage. Oh man, I can remember when I was a young man and my parents were always fighting, y'all. They would break up and come back together, and I'd be up in my room hearing them argue, and my dad would leave the house. And maybe about 3 o'clock in the morning, hallelujah, I would hear him coming to the door because the front door is right below my room. I look out the window and see his car. He would come into the house. My mother was up in the bedroom, I suppose. My sisters were down the hallway. He'd come up those steps, one step at a time. Sexuality is created to provide emotional security for children within a marriage. He would come up those steps, 16 steps. I would count them off. And I prepared to fake like I'm asleep because he would check on my sisters. I could hear him go in their room and look. Then he'd come in and check my room. Then their room was right next door to mine. And I wondered when he left my room, was he going to listen closely? Was he going to turn left and go into the bedroom with my mom? And if he did, I would sleep well. Sexual relationships in the context of marriage provide for the emotional security of children. Hallelujah. It motivates men's survival and protection, family protection. I know that's true for me. Somebody messing with my wife, they're going to get it. It's an instinct provided by nature for men to be protectors. I hope, ladies, you understand you need a man that's a protector. Hallelujah. My son got married recently, like he now has a baby, and I'm one of my grandkids. His wife told me the real thing she loved most about John is he's so protective. Provides for periodic renewal of the bond within the marital context. Why did God create sexuality? Now, if you are become or sexually active, if you are adversely affected when you're finally married, if you have too many relationships, when you're finally married, that's something y'all have to overcome. Okay. Here's questions young ladies should ask about a guy. How does he act when he's angry? That's an indication of his personality. You learn a lot about him. You project out what he'll be like. How does he treat his mom and sisters? Man, if he treats you okay and he's dogging his mom and sisters, you are next. How does he treat his mom and his sisters? I think both. How does he speak of his mother? How does he speak of his sisters? So, guys, it's something for you to think about before you start dating and whenever you do. How do you regard your mom and your sisters? I'll get to ladies on this in a minute. Don't worry. I get the men on this too. Hopefully. What does he think and say about them? Ladies, what time does he always want to call you? Is it late at night? Early morning? He ain't calling for the homework. Come on, y'all. We got to start focusing on and being real about relationships. Is he too physical? Will he leave if you stop? It's a real question you got to ask. Is he at your life level or above? Years ago, I visited a young lady at Sonoma State, and she said, "Oh, Deacon Wilson, I'm so glad you're here. I want you to meet my boyfriend. He's from San Francisco. I met him when I was visiting the city." I said, "Oh, really?" It says, "Okay." I said, "I'll wait to visit to see him." And I saw this. She had to go back into the dorm, right? Because she forgot something. And I see this guy coming from a distance with his pants hanging down and gold chain, and got closer and closer. I said, "Is this the guy?" And just as I wondered whether he was the guy, she came out of the dorm and yelled his name, and he was the guy. The thing that's so funny about it, she's a very nice young lady. She's now married and has a good family. But when he shook my hand, listen to this, ladies. When he shook my hand, he shook it, didn't even grip firm. He just stuck his hand out, didn't even firmly shake. I said, when he went away, she said, I said, Lord, please don't let her ask me what I think about him. And she did, and yes, I did tell her. Make sure he's at your life level or above. Does he have the class, ladies, that you have? You the queen. Nobody should be messing with the queen. All right. Does he love God? The same one you do. If you're religious. If you're not, okay. But if you're religious, that's a question to ask. I think in the Bible it says you should not be unequally bonded. Think ahead. Okay, let's go on. Here's some things for young men to consider in relationships. Gratification of sexual needs until marriage is the ultimate form of manhood. If I had time to tell the story of Esau and Jacob, I would do it now. I don't have time. Wimps and boys can't control themselves. You want to be a man, you learn how to control yourself, control your desires. A man can control them, and if he does so, he can save young women from his hunger. Be the man that he wants a man to be to his sisters. Love and commitment are separate from sexual attractions for young men to consider. They're different. Way different, my Lord. Emotionally damaged ladies cannot be rescued. Just wait for them. Don't try to rescue. I know your instinct will be that way. There are women that will take advantage of that, though, right? Watch for narcissistic traits in people. In general, both sides, but watch for people that only think about themselves and want to be in a relationship with you. What do they think about their fathers? A young lady that's down on her father all the time, guess what? You're next. You're next. Down on her father and her brothers, will make you immune to that when she gets mad at you. And it will happen. Things happen in relationships. Hey, here's an interesting romantic timeline. Senior year, high school, you should be interviewing. You're talking to different young men. What does it mean you go with somebody like colors go together? You're interviewing and you're abstinent, abstaining from sexuality. But then when you get to your senior year of college, you can start dating. Listen, dating is when you're seeking someone to marry. It's not what you're doing right now. You can go out with somebody, but you should be interviewing them. You're not getting ready to marry them. Matter of fact, like I told you earlier, 9 times out of 10, that's not the one you're going to marry. Most times you meet the person while you're in college. Now, it may not be at college, but while you're in college is when you meet eligible men. Then in the blue, when you're setting your career, you can have marriage and children. A lot of you say, oh, I don't want that. Okay. But that's when you can think about marriage. You're more set in your career. And that may be at a younger age than you think, right? Some people say, well, I'm not going to get married till I have my PhD and my master's. How about getting married while you're going for your master's and y'all work together for your objective and his? I want to see more marriage be considered more, but in the right way. Internet relationships. Be careful about visiting people, guys and ladies, going out of town to visit people you met online. Friends, bring your friends like they're chaperones. Be careful about that. Ladies, do not travel to meet a guy. I have stories I could tell you about that. I haven't seen it in the last year, but I saw it all during the pandemic. Some crazy, wild stories when that happens. Don't travel to meet guys. Control your net usage if your grades are not elevated. Control your social media use. I'm going to do a session on that really soon for all grade levels. But we need to control that social media stuff. That's starting to affect how you view yourself. Follow the same timeline always on the above. What about partying and drinking? Drugs and drinking. Most serious addiction begins in college. About marijuana, By the way, the marijuana kids are smoking today and people smoke today is maybe 7 times more powerful than what people smoked in my day. Now, somehow, by the grace of God, I never smoked. I had friends who did it all. I was always a designated driver. It's illegal in some states to smoke kush, not here, and a federal offense on campus. Isn't that weird? It's legal to buy it if you're above a certain age, but to use it on the campus is a federal offense, and campus police are always enforcing that. Possession by a roommate could get you in trouble. Think about that. Kush seems not serious to you, but hear what I know about it from my work with high school students. I can always tell if I have a student, that's hitting that kush. Slow thinking, disinterest, withdrawal, depression. I can see it all the time. Got to knock it out. And you got to keep encourage people around you to knock it out too. People watching this video or even in the meeting. Regular use many times leads to more serious drugs. Yes, it does. Casual use is pleasurable. I'm not going to deny it. Remember, I said pleasure versus happiness, but it affects your grades and your performance. If you smoke, you could be mixed up with the wrong people, but you shouldn't smoke. What's a good party? Well, I'll tell you what a good party is. My daughter gave me an example. She would go into parties at her school and she'd take it with her girls. They'd take a deep breath at the door. If they could smell that kush, they'd turn around and walk out. You know, if there's alcohol being consumed there, knowing that there's minors there or under 21 in some states, certainly most of the kids in college will be under 21. That's a clue it's not a good party. Now, I didn't say don't party. Go to good parties. You're entitled to have some fun. Come on now. Campus police on drugs and drinking, they risk to your future. Yep. A campus policeman could blow up in your party. I had a couple of cases of that at a couple of my schools that came up in the party and took breath tests on all the students. And 2 of my students were found to be drunk. They reported it to the college, who reported it to the parents. Some kind of federal law. They weren't 21. They got in their record. All right. Believe it or not, that's all I have. Hope that helped. I wanted to make you think about these kind of things. Remember both parts of the meeting, please. Remember the part about affordability in the beginning. Quinn, I think you put it out in the chat once, put it one more time. In case people didn't get it, get a copy of the presentation. Why don't you read it over? This video will be up on my YouTube channel. If you want to take a look at it again, I guess, Quinn, you should put the YouTube channel up there, right? Go ahead and put the channel link up there for students. You can go ahead and subscribe. I drop a lot of videos this time of year. That'll be helpful to you. And I hope you got something out of this. Let's see, is there anybody? Nope, no comments. Good. Okay, well, I hope that helped. If anybody came late, the presentation notes are in the chat. Make sure you grab that, and my YouTube channel is there. I'm dropping a lot of college-related videos right now. I think that will help you tremendously. 11th graders, I hope that helps, seeing it early. Hey, Sydney, was that too early? Did you feel weird hearing all that early? I don't know. I got to try 11th grade.
No, it's fine. We hear it at church all the time.
All right. No, I didn't make Carson mad. I don't think I did. All right, but God bless you. Thanks for coming. Hey, let's see. I got to say something to, I think I see her here. Oh, Sade is there, but I don't know if Chloe's there. I'm assuming she is. So Chloe, I'll get those corrections back to you. You have a little more time than I thought. I talked to LMU, so we'll have a little more time to get that done. So I have it done the next day or so. Okay. We have like to the 10th. I mistimed that, so we'll be all right. We're not late. And you're not late for the other, you're way early for the other schools too. Okay, so we'll get that done. All right. Thank you all very much. I think that's it.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank yous. Thank you. Oh, it's a day's in there. That is a day. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you all very much.